Have you ever held a piece of history in your hand without even knowing it? Today, I'm going to introduce you to something you've probably seen 100 times, but never truly looked at. The 1996 US quarter dollar may seem like an ordinary coin, but behind its small size lies a story of history, design, and hidden value. Stay with me till the end. You might start seeing that old coin in your pocket in a completely new light. The quarter dollar has been a part of American currency for over 2 centuries. First minted in 1796, since then, it has become more than just a coin. It's a silent witness to changing times, evolving politics, and shifting designs. Now fast forward to 1996, exactly 200 years later, and the quarter still holds its place. Changed in value, but rich in meaning. This specific year sits right at the edge of a turning point in U.S. coinage history, just before the famous state quarters began in 1999. So, the 1996 quarter marks the end of an era. The final years of the classic eagle design before a new chapter began. Let's take a closer look at the design, because every line and every word on the 1996 quarter tells a story. On the front, or what experts call the obverse, you'll see a proud and steady profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States. His image has been on the quarter since 1932. Marking his 200th birthday, above his head, the word liberty is boldly stamped, a reminder of the country's founding values. To the left, the motto "In God We Trust" reflects America's spiritual foundation. And just below, you'll see the date, 1996, anchoring the coin in time. Now flip it over. On the back, or reverse, you're met with the striking image of a bald eagle, wings stretched wide, clutching arrows in its talons, a symbol of both peace and strength. The words United States of America curve above it, and beneath that, the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a tribute to unity and diversity. Finally, at the bottom, it reads quarter dollar. Its monetary value. Simple, yes, but every element has a purpose. Every detail carries weight. Now that we've looked at the design, let's talk about what the 1996 quarter is actually made of and where it was born. Because believe it or not, even the metal in your hand has a story. The quarter dollar might feel small and light, but the materials used to make it are chosen with purpose. The 1996 quarter is made of a clad composition. That means it's not one solid metal, but actually made of 3 layers. The outer layers are a mix of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its silvery shine and resistance to corrosion. But if you were to slice it open, which I don't recommend, you'd find that the core is pure copper, a reddish-brown metal at the heart of the coin. Why this combination? Well, the United States Mint carefully balances durability, cost, and appearance. Copper is cheap and conducts electricity well, but it wears down quickly. Nickel, on the other hand, is tougher and gives the coin a bright finish. Together, they make a coin that lasts for decades in circulation without losing its shape or detail. The 1996 quarter weighs exactly 5.67 grams, and it has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters. About the size of a bottle cap. Its thickness, just under 2 millimeters. But don't let that fool you. This coin is built to last. Now, let's talk about where it was minted, or in simpler words, where it was created. In 1996, the U.S. Mint had multiple facilities producing quarters, but the 2 most common are Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell which mint your coin came from by looking for a tiny letter on the front just beside Washington's ponytail. If you see a P, that means the coin was minted in Philadelphia, the original birthplace of American coinage. If there's a D, it came from Denver, Colorado. These 2 mints produced billions of quarters, keeping the U.S. economy flowing. There are also a few proof coins made in San Francisco, marked with NS. These were specially made for collectors, with extra care and a mirror-like finish. In total, more than 1.6 billion quarters were minted in 1996, with over 900 million from Philadelphia and around 900 million from Denver. So yes, the 1996 quarter is not rare in the general sense, but that doesn't mean it's worthless. Some 1996 quarters, especially those in uncirculated or mint condition, are collected for their shine, detail, or unique minting errors. For example, Some coins might have tiny mistakes, a misaligned stamp, a doubled image, or a missing mint mark. These so-called error coins are highly valued by collectors and can be worth far more than 25 cents. So the next time you find a quarter, check it carefully. You might be holding not just spare change, but a small piece of American craftsmanship, forged from carefully selected metals and struck with precision. It's more than a coin, it's a collaboration between science, history, and art. And when you realize that billions of these tiny discs travel from hand to hand, from vending machines to bus stops to children's piggy banks, you understand the power of good design and smart engineering. Even the most ordinary object, when you look closely, can carry extraordinary meaning.
Now, let's talk about what everyone secretly wants to know. Is the 1996 quarter actually worth anything more than 25 cents? The short answer, it depends. In everyday circulation, the 1996 quarter is still a common coin. As I mentioned earlier, over 1.6 billion of these were minted, which means you're likely to find one in your pocket, in a cash drawer, or under a couch cushion. So, in average condition, scratched, worn down, or tarnished, it usually holds only its face value, 25 cents. But here's where it gets interesting. Collectors don't just care about age, they care about condition, rarity, and uniqueness. A 1996 quarter in uncirculated condition. That means it looks brand new, shiny, and has never been used in everyday transactions, can be worth $1 to $5 depending on its mint mark and surface quality. It may not sound like much, but that's already 4 to 20 times its face value. Then, there are the proof coins made at the San Francisco Mint with the S mark. These coins are not meant for general use. They're struck multiple times on polished dies, giving them a mirror-like background and frosted details. A proof 1996S quarter can be worth $10 or more, especially in pristine, graded condition. And finally, there's the jackpot category, error coins. These are coins that were accidentally misprinted or flawed during production. A doubled image, a missing layer, off-center stamping, or even the absence of a mint mark can turn a regular 1996 quarter into a high-value collectible. Some verified error coins have sold for hundreds of dollars at auctions. That's why collectors, even casual ones, often inspect their change under bright lights and magnifying glasses. They're not just looking for coins. They're looking for stories, mistakes, and surprises. But let me also say this. Not all value is measured in money. The 1996 quarter is valuable in other ways. It represents the end of an era, the last few years before the U.S. began its famous state quarters program in 1999. It holds the classic eagle design, a design that had been used for decades and was about to disappear. For many collectors, that makes it special. It's like owning the final chapter of a long, historic book. And for new collectors or younger audiences, the 1996 quarter is a perfect starting point. Affordable, easy to find, and rich in history. So next time you see one, ask yourself, is this just pocket change? Or could it be a tiny time capsule, a small, forgotten treasure waiting to be appreciated? You know, sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest secrets. The 1996 quarter, a coin you might overlook every day, has more hidden stories than most people would ever imagine. It's a coin that lived through millions of hands, jiggled in thousands of pockets, and maybe even witnessed history quietly from the palm of someone's hand. But what most people don't realize is that even something this ordinary can be full of surprises, fun, strange, and even a little mysterious. Let's start with something unexpected. Did you know that the 1996 quarter is part of the last generation of American coins that use the classic eagle design before the launch of the famous state quarters program? That's right, just 3 years after 1996, in 1999, the U.S. Mint began releasing quarters with different designs for each state. Suddenly, every quarter looked different, and people began collecting them like stickers. But in 1996, the eagle was still proudly holding his place, wings stretched, arrows in his claws, a look of fierce independence and national pride. So, in a way, the 1996 quarter became one of the final representatives of the old style, and that makes it historically significant, Here's another twist: the edge of the coin. It's reeded, meaning it has those little ridges around the side. You've probably felt them without thinking twice. But do you know why they exist? Hundreds of years ago, when coins were made of precious metals like silver and gold, people used to shave off tiny bits from the edge and still try to spend the coin at full value. These edge ridges were introduced as a security feature, so if someone tampered with the coin, it would be obvious. Even though the 1996 quarter isn't made of silver anymore, the ridged edge remains a tiny legacy of the past, still protecting the present. And speaking of protection, let's talk about mint marks. Most people never even notice them. But these tiny letters printed on the coin like P, D, or S tell us exactly where the coin was made. If your 1996 quarter has a D, it was minted in Denver, Colorado. A P means Philadelphia. And if you're lucky enough to find an S, it was made in San Francisco as part of a collector's proof set. Think about that. 3 quarters, all from the same year, can have different origins like siblings born in different cities. And each mint has its own tiny variations like the thickness of the lettering, the depth of the eagle's feathers, or the angle of Washington's portrait. To a casual eye, they all look the same, but to a trained collector, they're completely different personalities. Now, let's go even deeper into the realm of minting errors, where the real treasure hunters come out to play. Imagine finding a 1996 quarter where the letters are doubled, or one side is missing completely, or the entire coin is slightly off-center. These are called error coins, and they are worth far more than 25 cents. Some have sold for $100 or more, simply because they were flawed in just the right way. In the world of coins, imperfection can mean profit. It's like finding a typo in a rare book, except that typo can pay your grocery bill. One of the most fascinating types of errors is the off-metal strike. That's when a quarter is accidentally struck on a planchet, a blank coin disc meant for a different coin, like a dime or even a foreign currency. Imagine holding a 1996 quarter that's the size of a penny, weighs differently, and still shows Washington's face. That would be a numismatic jackpot. These mistakes are rare, but they do happen, and they make every coin worth a second look. But here's the fun part: the value of a coin isn't always in its rarity. Sometimes it's in its story. Maybe a 1996 quarter you find has traveled more than you. Maybe it was dropped on the floor of a high school gym during a graduation speech, or left behind at a gas station on a road trip across the country. Maybe it was used to buy candy by a child who's now a parent. Every scratch, every mark is a trace of its journey, and the mystery of where it's been is part of its charm. That's why coin collectors don't just collect metal, they collect time. Here's something many people don't know. The 1996 quarters minted in Philadelphia don't have a P mint mark on them. The P mint mark was first used in 1980, but for quarters, Philadelphia coins still often appeared without a mark, making some people confuse them with rare errors. So, if you find a 1996 quarter with no mint mark at all, don't panic. It's probably from Philly, but still, makes you look a little closer, doesn't it? Now, let me share one more interesting bit. In 1996, the US was nearing the dawn of the internet age. Email was growing, cell phones were still new, and the idea of digital currency didn't exist. And yet, through all that technological change, this small metal disc, the quarter, remained a stable form of trade. It was used in parking meters, laundromats, vending machines, toll booths, and arcade games. The 1996 quarter, in a way, connected the analog past with the digital future. It worked in your hand the same way it did in your grandparents' day. That kind of reliability is rare and beautiful. And finally, maybe the most valuable secret of all, the 1996 quarter can inspire you to pay attention to small things, to look closer, to appreciate what others ignore. That's what collecting is about, not just hoarding coins, but training your eye to see meaning where others see metal. It reminds us that history isn't always written in books. Sometimes it's jingling quietly in your pocket, just waiting to be noticed. So the next time you hold a quarter, any quarter, don't just spend it. Study it, question it, admire it, because in your hand might be a story no one's told yet. And Once you learn how to read these tiny symbols, you'll start to see that the world around you is filled with stories hiding in plain sight. So, what did we really discover today about the 1996 quarter? On the surface, it's just a piece of metal, a coin tossed into tip jars, left in car cuffholders, or lost between sofa cushions. It's overlooked, uncelebrated, passed from hand to hand without a second thought. But when we stopped to look closer, it turned out to be something far more interesting. A slice of American history, a work of design, a product of engineering, a collector's item, a storyteller. In a world that's always rushing forward chasing the newest phone, the fastest car, the latest trend, we often forget that value doesn't always lie in what's new. Sometimes, the ordinary things, the ones that feel outdated or invisible, are actually the ones that carry the deepest meaning. The 1996 quarter is a perfect example of that. We explored its design, the symbolism of Washington's face, the eagle's strength, the words carved in silence. We went behind the scenes to see how it was made, the blend of copper and nickel, the precision of the minting process. We learned how collectors view coins not just for their looks, but for their errors, origins, and stories. And in all of this, we uncovered a deeper truth, that everything, even the smallest coin, has a story worth telling, if you're willing to stop and look. Maybe that's what we all need more of today, to slow down, to notice, to appreciate, because sometimes, the biggest lessons are hiding in the tiniest things. So the next time you hold a quarter in your hand, any quarter, not just one from 1996, I hope you remember this. I hope you ask yourself, where has this coin been? Who has it met? What story is it carrying? And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see the world a little differently. Because the truth is, nothing is truly ordinary, not even a coin. Not if you learn how to see it. Before you walk away today, I have a challenge for you. Don't just let this be another interesting talk you forget tomorrow. The next time you get change back at a shop, a toll booth, a vending machine, I want you to actually look at the coins in your hand. Really? Look. Check the year. Feel the weight. Notice the mint mark. Ask yourself where it's been. And if you find a 1996 quarter, keep it. Not because it's rare, but because it's a reminder. A reminder that history isn't locked in museums. That stories aren't just found in books. That value isn't always measured in dollars. It's a reminder that curiosity changes everything. So stay curious, stay observant, stay open. Because if a tiny coin can carry this much meaning, just imagine what else you've been missing.